Well, now, on this video, I dare promise you that I'm going to share with you 3 life unavoidable phases that you cannot avoid. That's what I mean, like 3 phases of life that you cannot avoid them. And you're going to be shocked. And guess what? This is that video that is quite interesting. And at the end of this video, I bet you I'm going to leave you in a situation whereby you'll be like, what? I didn't even know those phases actually exist. And what exactly are they? And how or what am I supposed to do each and every phase so that I can change, transform, and grow myself to the next level? There are things that most of the people do not know exactly they're happening. You see, some of the things that happens in our lives, they are either consciously or unconsciously, meaning they happen without us noticing, or they can happen with us noticing. But guess what we do? It's like the way you usually wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, fine. Like, let me just snooze for 5 minutes, then I'm going to wake up. The moment you realize, oh my goodness, you've slept like for the next 2 hours. Have you ever met yourself in such a kind of a situation? Good. This is it. Now, see what? Just be a little bit patient, relax, watch this video. Don't touch any button except the like button, and also subscribing and comment down below. After doing that, relax and watch this video to the end, because this is it. And if you're watching for the first time, my name is Good Joseph. Post videos about money, investments, all those kind of things. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for your eyeballs. Let's get the point. Now, see, when you were born, see, from 0 years all the way to 18 years, at this particular point, we say you are under care. You are under care. See, what they call you, you are a child. Even by the law, you're supposed to be provided for. Okay? You're supposed to be provided for. At this particular point, they understand or they assume you cannot survive by yourself. By law, you're supposed to be catered there by your guardians or your parents or whatever the place. At this particular point, you are a kid. They don't even give you an ID. You're not even allowed to vote, blah, 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 blah. That is according to Kenyan law. Okay, fine. Now, after this age, now you come to an age whereby now even your parents tell you, now, hey, you're now becoming an adult. Get out of the house, go do something about yourself so that you can eat and drink and be able to raise your family in future, just like the one we have out here. Fine, no problem. Now, let's say from 21 years all the way to 45 years, okay? From 21 years all the way to 45 years, at this particular gap, this is when we say people are at their prime. People are their prime. We call this the productive age. Now, help me to introduce my first phase of life. The first phase of life, we call it the donkey phase. The donkey phase. The donkey phase. See, now the donkey phase, I want you to relate with this animal called the donkey. See, this animal called donkey, and by the way, this donkey has another name, quite interesting. I won't write it here. You go find out the another name of donkey. See, the donkey phase, you can relate what happens with that phase with that animal called donkey. So what happens to a donkey? In African setup, probably people from the West may not relate to this. A donkey in our society is an animal that is associated with doing hard work. All the time the animal is working, carrying loads, carrying those cars, pulling those cars, and doing lots of things. Right? If you have a donkey as a pet, you may not relate to this. But those who come from Africa understands what's the work of a donkey. Right? So this animal is quite of an animal that is so much hardworking, is out there, is all over the place, trying and doing the best that they can. At this particular point, we say this animal is an active animal. So the same case happens to you all the way from 21 all the way to 45. This particular age group or this particular phase is called the donkey phase. Why? This is an age where actually you're now actualizing your dream. See, from 0 to 18, people ask you, what would you like to be when you grow up? Probably don't even know what you'd like to be. Say, maybe you say some of the careers be based on people whom you've interacted. If you realize that your dad was a doctor, probably you might say, I would like to be a doctor. If your dad was whatever they were, you would like, if they inspire you, you'd like to be whatever they would like to be. Okay, so the point is, at this particular 0 to 18, you're a dreamer. So the moment now you hit 21, you get into the work phase. Now, the work sort of phase. Now, this is time now you actualize your dream. This is time now you work as hard as you can. And never forget this. At this particular point, this is how the life looks like. All right, and I gave this idea back then. You see, at this particular section here, you have many options. You have many options, okay? Because you have many options, and that is when you are young. You can decide to be a pilot. Obviously, you can. When you're high school, you can be able to read as much as you can. You can be a pilot, you can be a doctor, you can be a accountant, you can be anybody you want. But as the time goes by, those opportunities comes and closes down. So the point is this, as donkey phase, this is when you work hard, okay? You literally work hard. Sometimes you skip lunch, sometimes you can even go sleep outside, sometimes you can even do nothing. Sometimes you're just all over the place making your ends meet. In this particular age, this is when you get married, this is when you have your family, this is when you're energetic, you're raising up your kids and all those kind of things. And probably most of the people who watch my videos, obviously according to my statistics, are in this donkey phase. When I come here to talk about investments, you were interested, you want to know what are these investments, you want to start a business, you are out there, you want to start a farming, you are out there, you're thinking of acquiring a skill, you are out there, you're pushing out a content if you're a content creator. Also myself, I'm in this phase called the donkey phase. The donkey phase, most of the people at this particular point, is when you make or break your life. This is when you try as much as you can. And if, see, donkey phase is related to you working hard. And if you can work hard just solely without combining it with working smart and luck at the same time, you may not be able to realize the money that you're looking for. So at the donkey phase, this is that phase that you say, hey, you're more productive. So in this donkey phase, after this phase now of 21 all the way to 45, we go to a phase that now is called, the second phase now is from 45 years all the way to 60 years. At this particular phase, we usually call it monkey phase. Monkey phase. At this particular phase now, what happens is that, hey, guess what? You want to create a career that you wanted to be within this, but you realized, hey, guess what? The time is moving. I cannot be a pilot. I cannot be a lawyer. I cannot be this. I cannot be that. So you've already made, peace with life. I'm a plumber. I am a doctor. I'm a pilot. I'm a chief. I'm a chef. I'm whoever I am. At this particular phase, you've accepted the reality to yourself. And whatever you're now thinking is about, hey, what am I going to do once I retire? How am I going to feed myself? Are my kids getting the education? Well, some people even at this particular phase, they talk about, hey, I didn't get this type of education, but I'm going to provide it with my kids. Hey, guess what? I'm a driver. I'm a police officer. At this particular point, you are in peace in terms of who you are. You still have the dreams, but you don't overdream. So if you meet somebody at this particular age and somebody at the donkey phase and somebody at the monkey phase, they have different personality and different mentality. Somebody at this particular phase, they are still big dreamers. Somebody at this particular phase, they are dreamer, they have dreamt all those kind of things, but what they do, they particularly do that what they understand. They particularly do that what is feeding them. For example, take an analogy of a monkey. It jumps from one tree to the other in search for food. They don't care. Whatever is feeding them, that's what they're interested on. If they realize they're gonna feed from the sides of the roads, that's where they're gonna be. They're interested with them eating, just feeding, going out there. And that's why I come here, I share things to do with shares. You realize you can do something about it, you grab that. Anything that is making money out there. And at this particular phase, again, on the monkey phase, you can be manipulated. You get out there, you hear people are saying, hey, you know what, right now as you speak, agriculture is the best thing. You get your savings, you go put it out there because you're interested in just making the ends meet. Number one, you can be actually anxious, confused, and also you can develop some anxiety in this particular phase of the monkey phase. Why? Because you're interested in what you're gonna do when you retire, especially if you didn't put your house in order. You are not so lucky during this phase of the donkey phase. So at this particular point, you may not have a lot of things moving out there, but at least you're trying something to see what can actually work for you for the purposes of changing and transforming your life. And sometimes I usually tell people, it is be very cautious, keen, and careful whom you borrow the idea of investments, especially for somebody who is at 45 to 60. Some of them, they have wealth of knowledge, and some of them can actually discourage you for doing something. Why? Because they borrow from their pre-existing knowledge that they have from them. For example, you can meet somebody who tried a hardware business. It failed terribly. So at that particular point, it depends on how the guy can feed you the information with. The guy can tell you it's an amazing business. I started the business, I failed in this and this and that. That's why my business crumbled. So if you can start and avoid this and this and that, again, I may not be able to tell you you'll be successful, but at least I can tell you how that business doesn't work. So therefore, you can actually go ahead and sort of, what do we call it? Like you can be able to know now what buttons to press and such kind of a thing. But you can as well meet some guys who are discouraged by life. They are just out there. They tell you, we had all those ideas. We were thinking like you. It never worked and all those kind of things. So the point is, at the monkey phase, again, you still have some chances. There are some windows of you doing something for the sake of your life. But if you have the wrong mentality, you can hardly change these people. There was a time I was invited somewhere for a seminar by a certain group, and I happened to meet somebody who is at this monkey phase, and this guy had a negative mentality. You're trying to sell an idea, no matter how small you're earning, you have to save. The guy was off the balance. The guy was blaming everybody with this economy, with this government, with whatever. And see, now changing that kind of an individual, probably you may not even be able to change this individual. They can only change by themselves or by the grace of God. That is the only way that they can change and transform their lives. That is it. And this monkey face, it's quite a sensitive monkey face. And you can even create an enmity very easily with these people. Okay, now what happens after you get out of this phase? Now there is a third phase now, the last phase. Now this phase is now from 60 years and above. Now when you're 60 years and above, this phase now we call it dog phase. Again, I want you to go back to the dog. How does a dog behave? A dog is friendly, a dog is great, can be a very good partner. Actually, they say it's the biggest friend of a human being. So at this particular phase, guess what happens? This individual, you know what? For you to live and survive, say you did nothing about your life. See, now we can say like the donkey phase happens for you from let's say from this point all the way to this particular point. And then the other phase happens for you from all the way from this point up to this particular. No, let's be a little bit fair. Let's say from here to here, from here to here. This is what we call the donkey phase, the donkey phase. And this one from here to here, this is what we call the dog phase. No, not the donkey, but rather the monkey phase. And then past here, this is 60 years plus. This is now from there going forward. That's where we have the dog phase. At this particular point, how you survive here is dependent on how or what you did back then. So if you realize you've messed up, things are not okay, you are not lucky, say maybe you tried as much as you can, but you are not lucky. So what do? You survive under the mercies of the people if you didn't do something. And what do you give them in return? You give them love. And that's why you find that some of the grandpas, grandmas, and whatever, they tend to be good people and they survive under your mercies. Oh, you get what I'm saying? Sometimes it's called it's like the way you get a job somewhere and you have to be the nicest individual. You can't be sent by anybody. You are so friendly because if you don't do that, my friend, you're under the mercies of the people. So if you find yourself in dog face and you didn't do something, anyway, all of us will go into the dog face. But some of us can get into the dog face with a dependency mentality. Some of us can get to the dog face with another mentality. Like, guess what? They have all their nene together. What do you call them? I was about to do something different here, but see, they have put their house in order. All their ends are met, and they can be able to cater for themselves. The fact remains at the tail end, in one way or the other, we may need people, because at this dog phase, this is when you just out there, you listen to people. Even if you have some investments, hey, guess what? You see, when you're above 60, you hand over the investment, say, to your kids or whoever you're interested with. But the fact remains, we must go through all these phases. The fact remains now is, how do you get into that phase with kind of what mentality, the situationality that you're going to get yourself into at that particular point? Okay, so these are this recap of what exactly I've talked about. The donkey phase, what happens, what you're supposed to do, and what you're supposed to carry forward into that. The second phase is about the monkey phase. What do you do with the monkey phase? How do you carry forward the monkey phase? Okay, how do you go ahead and sort of take care of your life and such? And the last one is called the dog phase. The dog phase, be very careful. It can be very, very much detrimental if you did do something about your life in this particular age. Anyway, know what, guys? Thank you very much for coming here to watch my videos. Never forget to pick that number of mine from the description of this specific video if you would like a customized information with me. And also, don't forget to as well hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and make sure that you leave a comment out there. Tell me where you're watching from. For now, it's a goodbye, and see you in the next one.